The 6 worst examples of bad retirement advice ever. Number 1, just turn your investments over to an advisor. Just do that. Then you're done. You don't have to worry about anything, man. Just put it on auto control. You'll be fine. You really want to do that? You really want to trust everything to an advisor? You might have researched them. Great. Okay. People make mistakes. No, you do not want to do that. Now, financial advisors have some pros and cons, which I've gone over in another video. They can be great for you. Okay. Especially if they're a fiduciary. But that doesn't mean that you're just going to give up all control over your investments. Do your research. Keep abreast of new developments in investments in retirement. You can't just go, boom, there you go, take it, run with it, check in with them like once a year. Okay, what happened if in that year your holdings have gone down 10 or 20%? How do you feel then? You can't just do that, guys. You got to be aware of things that are going on. If you're not comfortable with doing your own investments, fine. Find a great financial advisor who is a fiduciary to have them do that for you. But whatever you do, do not give up total control. Ask a bunch of questions. Send them emails. You got to be aware of where your money is going. Number 2, use 100 minus your age as the amount of equities you're going to have in your portfolio. Now, when you're young, that might be fine. Say you're 20 years old. 100 minus 20 is 80%. 80% equities when you're 20 years old, I'm okay with that. I mean, like I've said in videos before, I'm a pretty conservative overall investor. 80% equities, when some people say you might want to go 100 equities when you're 20, I'm okay with that. But let's jump forward to when you're 30, okay? 30 years old, 70% equities, 100 minus 30 is 70. Okay, I'm still all right with that. 40 years old, 60% equities? No. That is way too conservative. Way too conservative. 100 minus 40 is 60. When I was 40, I wasn't split 60-40. I was split more like 75-25, somewhere around there. As I got older, I got more towards my current balance of 60% equities and 40% bonds. So if you go by this analogy, 100 minus 50 years old is 50% equities. Too conservative. And when you retire, let's say you retire at 65, 100 minus 65, 35% equities. Guys, when your money is in retirement, it still has to work for you, right? It still has to work for you. You can't just sit there and put it, in your mattress. I guess you could, but I mean, with inflation and everything, that money's not going to be there for you in the long run, 20, 25 years down the road. Number 3, you must be debt-free to retire. No, if everyone waited for that, they'd be waiting, a lot of people, until they're like 70, 75, until they're retired. A little bit of debt is not going to hurt you. You don't need to be totally debt-free when you retire. I just bought a house. If you can get, in my case, a decent mortgage payment, mine is very low. It's not going to hurt you that much. Also, you're building up equity in your house, right? I mean, sure, if I want to sell it 10 years down the road, but I never would. This is my forever home, as I've said before. But if I did, I can always sell it. Research where you're going to buy a house if you are. Make sure it's in a neighborhood of maybe not up and coming, but at least holds its value. As far as other debt, we all know, yes, credit card debt is bad, okay? Sure, have a little bit, but try and pay that off every month. If you've got a huge credit card debt and you're going into retirement, yes, pay that down. But you do not need to be debt-free. You can have debt in retirement and do fine, okay? Don't let that scare you. For some people, that might mean waiting till, like I said, 75 to retire. No, you don't need that. Retire earlier, okay? A little bit of debt is fine. Number 4, And this goes along with number 3. Don't retire until your mortgage is paid off. I just bought a house 6 months into retirement. Now, will some people call that unwise? Sure, I've heard that. I've got comments about that, but I'm comfortable with it, okay? A lot of people continue to have mortgage into their retirement, all right? Now, yes, if your house is paid off, are you in a better position? Of course you are, because you've got that whole equity that you can rely on if needed to help you out in retirement in a tough spot, right? So of course you're better off if your house is paid off. But if you have a mortgage, do not let that hold you back from retiring, okay? There are so many years to live in retirement, guys. Don't wait till you're 75 to do it. Take the leap. Number 5. I know I'll get feedback on this, but don't take Social Security until you're 70 years old. Worst advice I've heard. Especially now, after COVID and everything, with life expectancy going down instead of up. Okay, and as I've talked about in videos before, you have your go-go years, which are your first 10 years of retirement, usually like 60, 62 to 72. Your slow-go years from like 70, early 70s to like 80, early 80s, and then your no-go years. If you wait till you're 70 until you take Social Security, okay, and if that's going to be your primary source of retirement, it's just way too long. The break-even point for Social Security is right around 83 years old. That means if you had taken it early as opposed to taking it late, that is where it has to go until that money, you broke even, basically, deciding on what you wanted to do, okay? If you can retire before you have to take Social Security, absolutely do it, you know? If you are one of those lucky people that have enough money where you don't have to take it until you're 70, great. But a lot of people just keep pushing it out until they're 70, and then they retire. It's just not worth it, if you ask me. But of course, I retired early. I retired at 59. And if any of you are interested in joining our community, please consider subscribing for moderately minded individuals trying to get through this bad retirement cycle, and we're just bouncing ideas off each other left and right. Consider subscribing, and if you like it, please like the video. So again, guys, I mean, 70 is way too late for me. It just is. You're wasting so much of your go-go years by then. If you're waiting to retire until 70 to take Social Security, way too late. The last one I have, number 6, is the advice that you can always go back to work. I don't know about that. If you're talking about full-time work, I don't know about that. Even in some instances, part-time work. When I first retired, I had the hardest time even getting people to reply to me after I applied for online jobs. Part-time. Forget about full-time. So in this old saying in retirement, hey, retire, you can always go back to work. For some people, maybe. For a lot of people, I don't know. It was very, very hard for me to even try and find a part-time job after I retired. Don't listen to that advice, okay, guys? So anyway, those are some of the 6 worst retirement advice that I can think of. If you guys have any others, you know, let me know in the comments. And remember, guys, stick to your guns in this environment. If we know what we're doing, we trust what we're doing, we got this.